Good afternoon. It is day number 310 of 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate success through service. And today we are honoring one of my teammates from the Next Impactor. She is truly a service hero and she's extremely remarkable. A woman that is international and is helping others on an international scale, and yet helping those that are in her backyard. It is a remarkable thing that Naira. Um, I'm gonna let Naira share how to say her last name correctly. How do you say it?
Velumyan. But name is enough, Tamara.
Okay, thank you. I love this woman, and you will too. Welcome, Naira.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you so much for having me, for honoring me being your guest.
Well,
Because you
thank
know,
you.
I appreciate you too much. I would like to applaud you first of all for what you do it. For how you serve. Because I think serving service heroes, is just it's a high level in the hierarchy. So just if I would have a hat, I would just take it.
I know I do that a lot. I do it with my hand. We have one of our teammates here, Brooke. Good to see you, Brooke.
Hi,
One
Brooke.
of our service heroes. She was actually our service hero. I think it was a holiday. I have to remember which one. So hi, we get to see each other here soon. Anybody that's been around over the last quite a few months knows about the big event that's coming up this Friday with the Next Impactor. And that's how Naira and I originally met because we were put on the same team, Team Todd. What is it that, oh, we have another one of our original Team Todd members. Oh, Mother's Day. That's right, Brooke. Thank you. It's Alicia. It's good to see you, Alicia.
Hi,
You know,
Alicia.
I go ahead.
No, I just said hi, Alicia.
And we are all going to get to be together because we are all from different parts of the United States and the world. We are all converging on Chicago, and we will be at a mansion on Friday. Now, you've been to this mansion, haven't you, Naira?
No, I have been in Chicago, but not in this mansion. I've just heard about it.
Okay, so you haven't been to the mansion, but you've been to Chicago. Now,
Mhm.
you are one of the international people, and yes, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you are from? I know currently you're in Canada, but originally you are from where?
I'm from Moscow, Russia, and I arrived in Canada. So in whole, I live in Canada for 3 years. But I go back and forth. So I live here for 3 months, then I go back to Russia because I have family there. I have kids, I have grandkids, I have friends, I have right. Thank you.
Yes,
These are
yeah.
my women. Yes.
Yes, it warms my heart when I see these, and so I thought I'd capture it because you are like me. It's that generational thing that is so important, and I love generational. For the many years, my kids were raised where we had four generations living in the
Mhm.
house, and
Good
I
training, right?
yeah, I love it. I love it because there's a sense of community and a sense of family, of belonging, and if you will, they're taught to a core level of who they are, and there's no question of that. So then, as they go out in the world, they'll always remember that. And that was one thing when I remember watching, because I actually did all the Impactor videos when I first was looking at getting involved. And then as more of them would come in, I would watch every single one of them at least a few times. I wanted to get to know everybody. And I remember yours, and I'm thinking, okay, 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees, and because you are a woman that is highly educated, and yet you have such a spirit of unconditional love, and that's what I feel from you. I just do. I feel it coming from you. And yes, we're teammates, guys, and I've gotten to know Naira. However, in truth, I mean, I know that I can get to know her better, and I want to, because I literally love this woman, because she's just amazing. And I know I'm going on, but it's because it's the way I feel. You are Let's go into your background. We know that you're part of the next Impactor. You're one of the top 25. We are all going to Chicago, and we get to be on the stage and do some kind of a song and dance or something with the X or whatever it is that we're all going to get to do, and we get to play rehearsal on Thursday night, and then the big day is Friday. So that's where we are here and now. But you have a story of how you got to here. I mean, we all do, but yours is an international story, and to me it's fascinating, because it's almost as though you come from so many different parts of the brain. Even you studied law, you study the power of the brain, and then you're into art, you're into women's movement, and helping people to become entrepreneurial. You have touched so many different areas. It's fascinating to me. Why don't you kind of bring us through that? What was it that law was your first degree, right?
Mm-hmm. Criminal
And
lawyer.
you went to school in Russia?
Yes, yes. I went to school in Russia and then I married, and I didn't have education when my husband was murdered. So I had to make a decision, and I went to business. It's I realized, it looks like something heroic, but for me it was like just everyday challenge. Look, when you have two kids and you don't have education, what do? You think about faster ways to get money for your family. That's why I went to business, because that time in Russia it was faster and I could get more money than if without education, I would go and work somewhere. And then I got my education of a lawyer.
Okay. Okay, I understand now. So you were that you were married, your husband was murdered,
Mm-hmm.
and your children were young then, right?
My daughter was 5, my son was 3.
And you're in Russia, and you have to make it work. You've got to be the breadwinner. Your mom, you go into business. Is that where you became an entrepreneurial spirit?
Yes, yes, I need it. I was 23, and yes, it was somehow some kind of survival. But look, Tamer, if you will speak about me, look, about you, about your audience, about your friends, about everyone, I think everyone was pushed,
Right.
out of something that we planned. And this is what usually, we have interesting joke in Russia that that man plans and God, just gives another scenario.
Right,
And
right, right, right.
you can be still stuck in your plans, but it's not helpful. That's why you should accept, you should be flexible and just accept new reality.
See, okay. Now you guys see what I see in this amazing woman. Okay, so you have learned how to just maneuver your life and go on. How is it that now you've gotten into that beautiful painting that's behind you? You have gone from being all the different things. And of course, I'm a recruiter, guys. So, of course, I'm going to go into the job scenario a lot, because that's the way I think. However, Naira, you are educated. You then decide that you were going to be in Russia. When did you go out of Russia? When did you decide that you were going to split your time in Canada?
It happened 5 years ago, and I didn't have intention to come to Canada, so I just wanted my son to go to Canada and to live and study here. And yes, he was admitted to Canadian university. And at that time I applied for my immigration. I did it for him because I wanted him, just graduate and then become, just have PR and continue living in this country. Hi Patrick. And this is what I did. Then, my daughter married, so my family from 3 people transformed into 2. Then, my son, after half a year in Canada, he said no. I will not. I don't want to continue. I don't want, and I asked him just to complete a year at least, and then to think about. So, and that's it. And then he transferred to Moscow University, and after 4 years, when everything changed, I had plans about my future life in Russia. So I already forgot about my immigration because, it seemed to me that they forgot about me. So yes, and my life somehow was established. So and I got invitation that welcome to Canada. And my thought was, just the whole world is trying, because Canada is an immigrant country, and the whole world is trying to get here, just knocking the doors. And, and I got invitation, welcome to Canada. So, it was, I was very grateful, and that's why I decided that I should go.
Okay, all right. This is fascinating because I think we take it for granted here in the United States in that we think we're the melting pot. That the United States is the country where there's a lot of immigrants, but you're saying that Canada is really that country.
Oh, there are 3 countries actually in the world, that are open to immigrants, and I think all their policies are just, just transformed just to invite for newcomers. It's Australia, Canada, and I believe it's New Zealand.
Oh, wow. See, I just learned something new right now. Because of the fact that I always thought that United States still was. I know we've had our closed borders, our open borders, our closed borders. I mean, that's a political thing lately. However, to be seeing it through your eyes, in the eyes of someone that's living in the world internationally and dealing with women internationally too, right? You have an organization that you work with.
Immigrant women in business, yes.
Mm-hmm,
Tamara, when we speak about immigrant country, it does not mean that the USA is closed for immigrants. It means that Canada has certain amount special services for immigrants. So everything, life is established just for immigrants. So you come and, and your life becomes easier because they thought about that in advance.
Oh, okay. So if you are welcomed to the country, then you immediately have many of the resources available to
100%.
you. Wow, that
Yes.
is incredible.
It's thoughtful, it's ready. Yes, it makes your process of immigration easier. Mm-hmm.
And so then you're involved with helping those women that are immigrants to become entrepreneurial. And so then as they go forward in their lives there, that they can become whatever it is that they feel inspired to become, correct?
For sure. There are many women here, immigrant women. So we are all immigrants here, who would like to transform from corporate world to become entrepreneurs. And yes, because I have my experience, and yes, I'm sharing, I'm mentoring them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm inspiring them. Yes.
That is, well, you inspire me. I have a question now in regards to you have art that you're sitting in front of. You have an art studio there that you display. You're an art agent, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And are you an art agent in both countries?
Yes, first I did it in Russia, and then I came to Canada. And by the way, I did many exhibitions in USA. It was I had Los Angeles, New York, Hamptons. That's it. And Miami, in Florida. And then I had in Canada. Yes, so now I'm trying to establish to build the same business that I built in Russia, and I work with one artist who is my husband. His name is Alexei Klokov. And so my motivation, I'm motivated just, to promote one artist. Nevertheless, people come to me, many artists come to me and they ask for advice. I will not promote anyone else, but I'm sharing all the information that I know, because, all these bruises that I have, I'm trying to share my experience.
How did you meet your husband?
Oh, it was an interesting story. I had very big business in Russia, and so we had. It was wild time. So look, it was always wild time in Russia, but with the quality of this wildness was different. So I had my business. It was car repair service, big center with restaurant and with a store for details. So, and my partner, not my partner, my manager, who was working for me 10 years. So somehow, he sold. So he sold my documents, and he gave my papers, and they were able to change the owner. So 1 year I was coming to my place, to my business, and I did not know that I'm not the owner anymore. When their papers were finished, so one day I came to my place, to my service center, and and they say, don't come here anymore, so you are no one here. And then I started fighting, and I found people who invested in this fight, because it took money. They invested $100,000. It was their first tranche, and we did something. So we proved that all these signatures were false, but it was only just beginning of the war. And then those people, it was really big money, so that they needed to invest more and more. They were not ready for that. Then I started getting, I was threatened. And my biggest concern was not about me, but about my children, because, I cannot risk. I have, my two treasures. So it's there is nothing that can be comparable. And that time, Alexei, he called me from London, and we met one time before. And he just called me, and, he's an artist, and artists live in there in a different world.
Yeah, right.
And he called me, and he said, I don't know why I called you. I thought, I just need to call you. And, I said, I was just, yes, I lost my business, and, I was some kind of depressed. But anyways, I was still shining. And I said, okay, I was rather arrogant. And I said, okay, if you think that you needed to call, then why not to come? And so next day he called me from the airport, from Moscow airport, and he said, I'm here, give me your address.
I like this guy. That's cool.
He came, and he acted strange. So it was not the end, of this miracle. So he came and he said, so I need to drive you to one place. He said, I need to create a painting for you. It was strange because, it was not like a date, right? But so I was very curious. And so he brought me to his mom's place. He did not have studio at that moment in Moscow because he moved to London. And so he brought me there, and he asked me to sit, and he asked just one thing. He set up music, and he said, I'd like you to think about something that you wish. Do you have desires? Yes, as a psychologist, we always visualize, we have our plans. So I had this experience, and I was thinking, but at that time I had 5 desires. And he did not limit me. He did not say one. So I was thinking about 5. That time my son was in Canada. I wanted him to graduate very successfully. My daughter, she was dating. I had my PhD in a process. I was writing my dissertation. Then I had a business. Another business. Then I was concerned about my mom. So I had 5 desires. And I was thinking about them just jumping from one another. And he was painting, and somehow, this is how psychology works. This is how gestalt, we say gestalt. This is how it works. You see something, and then you create it. You try to recreate a bigger picture. So he put 5 leaves, 5 gold leaves on a canvas. And I had 5 desires. It was like a miracle for me. And then, I was just in my imagination, I was thinking, okay, please give me a sign. I was just sending him signals. I was saying, give me a signal that you will stay in my life. This is what I wanted. Because I was somehow, I was depressed, and I needed, some strong shoulder. Right. And I was telling him, just give me a signal, something, just cough, something. And you know what he did? As his signature on the painting, he has Klokov, and he has big V. You cannot see like V, like victory. And so then in the middle of my painting, just in the middle, he puts big V. And for me, it was a sign. So then years later, I was joking because, somehow he was creating painting for my desires. And my desire was him to stay into my life. So somehow you know what he did. So without knowing that's, yes. And he stayed into my life and he helped me. He supported me a lot. At that time, I had another business where my partner was not acting very well. And Alexei supported me, so he went through everything at that place. He was painting, he was doing all dirty job there. It happened, it was going for 2 years. And then I made the decision, so now it's my turn, to be reciprocal. So, and I got another education of art manager. And I decided that now I should somehow do something for his career. Now it's my turn. Because he sacrificed, he never, when you say unconditional love, but this is something, what I learned from other people. This is what I saw. When he did it, he forgot about him being an artist. He just did it, without looking back.
I love this story. And in fact, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in so many different realms right now as you were telling it. And the gold leaves, 5 of them. And of course, he had no idea as he's painting.
He did.
And so, how many years ago was that?
It was about 8 years ago.
And how long have you been now his agent?
So 8 years ago, then 2 years he helped me in my business. Then probably a year I was studying. It's almost 5-6 years.
What does an agent do? An art agent do? Is that? I mean, I don't know. I'm fascinated. Do you set up the shows? Do you help to sell his art? What is all of the above?
I represent him. For example, as a lawyer, they represent their clients. So I'm representing him. I am talking on his behalf. I'm arranging exhibitions, and he never comes to his exhibitions. He's never present there. I speak about his art. I advocate for him, and I promote. I sell. I write a lot about him. I did a lot in Russia, so I wrote articles there and magazines, and I'm art critic, so I continue getting my education. Now I have this studio, but the most important, I would say, what I'm doing for him. Artists they're like kids. They're very vulnerable. And they are so vulnerable about their art that it's very painful for them to hear some negative comments. And I always joke that I'm a pillow between him and his audience. So I bring him only good news, and and when there is something just that he will not like, I never bring it to him.
I appreciate that. My mother was a very business kind of person. Her brother was an artist, and it was like they were completely opposite in many ways, and yet they were so interconnected. So, I mean, they talked every day kind of thing. He was one party, she was another party. They, you look at them and they were so different, and yet they really were so much alike. And so when you're talking about the sensitive side of, because it is that art is a part of them. And I remember my uncle, that he had one show, and and the results of that show, it was like my mother wanted to just go out there and change things. She just wanted to get out there. And I think what you're talking is protect him, possibly. That was the younger brother. And I'm as I'm listening to you, I'm like seeing even pictures in my own family, thinking, okay, now it's making a lot more sense. And so thank you for what you're doing with your husband. Now, you have so many more things that you're up to in regards to the women's organization that you're working with, and you work with Why don't you just tell us? Because you went off you went down the line before we went live, and it was like, okay, this and this and
Mhm,
this.
mhm.
And I'm thinking, wow, we could talk about all of these, because certainly you are a service hero in every single thing that you're doing. And I just, as we finish this one area, I want to recognize you for being that service hero pillow, because that is beautiful. That's beautiful, because you're helping him to keep that positive energy going towards his art and his creating, and instead of letting the, if you will, world get in there and start taking some of that energy away. And am I correct in that?
Probably yes. It would be better to ask him how does he feels. This is my picture, because always when it's more than one person, it's always two pictures, and they don't
Right,
usually
right.
correspond. This is how I perceive what I'm doing. But you know what I was taught? I spent 3 years in a spiritual school. And it was part of me growing as a psychotherapist, as a psychologist, because it's not about just a psychological knowledge. It's about a knowledge of, just maybe of some kind of philosophy, just you explore deepness and you explore yourself from this perspective. So 3 years, it was really challenging for me, because what we went through extra sufferings. And it's so look, for example, people suffer. Some people
Right,
just suffer. They you know what I mean, suffer. They say, oh, they always just they are pity for themselves. They
right.
say they have
Yeah,
so many excuses. But
right.
this spiritual school was based on conscious suffering. So you do it consciously. For example, do you know, for example, asceticism, when they um, refuse to eat, when they refuse to
Oh,
sleep, for
right,
example. We,
right.
we did different practices, without food, we were deprived from sleep, we were deprived from talking, when for a week you don't talk. So, and you explore what's going on, and, it's interesting how your negative emotions, how they arise. Just bunch of emotion. You hate the person who gave you this assignment. You hate yourself who made this decision. You hate the whole world. And this is how. And negative emotion never comes alone. It's a bunch of emotions. And
Right.
so we, during 3 years, we tried, just to explore these bunches of emotions. And it was interesting. So I remember it was one of our trips, and I paid big money. I earned big money and I paid big money. So it was a trip to the country house, where we literally, just worked. I mean, physically worked. We cleaned snow. But each of us who was there, we could hire a person to clean the snow, for example. We cleaned paint. I was given, just big pots, like Cinderella, that was impossible to clean. And, I was sitting just like cleaning the whole day, these big pots for nothing. Nobody needed them. But, and that's where, you contemplate, okay, why I'm doing this for nothing. So I'm not nothing. But at the same time, our finale. So you know how it was. I think we were 10 people there, and we made a big dinner,
Uh-huh.
and we invited about, I think, 50 guests, and we were servants, like waiters.
Uh-huh.
And we needed to be silent. We did not talk. We needed to serve people. And it was such a great experience, because, my teacher, she said that, the main idea was that the highest server, so the highest master is the highest server.
Right. Right.
That's why, when you say about, service hero, I think, if you want to achieve something, the first skill that you need to explore is just, to serve others.
Right. 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 This is a fascinating discussion, because so many people actually believe in truth, and putting all of your package together, if you will, that to be the best leader, many people believe being a servant leader is the very, very best that you can be, because if you are helping your people that some people would say, oh yes, okay, I'm the manager, I'm the owner of the company, I'm whatever it is, they are, beneath me, whatever it may be. But many of the best leaders and the best people that will work for these, owners of companies, owners or managers or whoever it may be, they'll do anything to help them because they know that they're supported. They are doing so much better because of being a part of whatever organization it is, being a servant leader. And I love this whole concept of the party and being, that you go for however long and you don't talk, you don't eat, you don't sleep, whatever it may be, you sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
You're sacrificing for, I would think, the enlightenment, the greater good, the all that you're going to learn and kind of like become aware of within yourself. And that was part of your 3-year journey. And that's pretty incredible. Now, is that to go into your full life? Is that why you became a coach and how you start coaching others, or do you use some of this because you have so much of a background that for you to be a coach, I would think, oh my, like sign me up, because of the fact that you have so many different fascinating areas that I'm thinking that you have the business, you've been there, you've done that, you've built businesses, you've lost businesses, you've built businesses, you continue to build, you have an area of law, you understand the legal system, you understand that the way that the brain works and the way that the brain works with the functionality of the body, and you understand movements, you understand like the immigrant situation and how that, all of these immigrants, these women going forward, how they can utilize this wonderful platform and make something of their lives. Now, I'm thinking, okay, here we have this amazing 360 situation going on. You are the servant leader coach. Now, tell us about your coaching program, because I'm thinking myself, wow, you have so many different ways that you could go.
I would say, that coaching is, look, the difference between coaching and psychotherapy, right? There is a line between. So when you are psychotherapist, you work with past. When you are coach, you work with the future. So I believe, that when you work with the past, why do you do that? You do that, to create better future. That's why somehow, it's like operating two hands. You have one, it's wonderful, I do something with my left and I have do something, but I can clap only when I use both. And I think that what brought me to coaching. And because I was psychotherapist and psychologist, and what brought me to psychotherapy, there are different opinions about what brings people to become a psychologist, what pushes people to become psychologists. But you know what? I believe in something, that is called wounded healer. So our own wounds bring us to psychotherapy. We first, there is a calling because we have our wound that we need to heal subconsciously. We come, then we heal it, and then, then we are able to help others. I believe in this. Maybe some people will argue. Thank you, Carolyn. Carolyn agrees.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and I think, I can't say anything because, as a lawyer, I was in a court and I saw guys, and they're young guys who stole something in the store, something very small, by the way, not very small and not expensive. But, the law is, it does not matter what's the price. First of all, it's a group. It means, the punishment is tougher. Mm-hmm. In Russia, this is how it works. And then, stealing is still stealing. It does not matter right. If it costs $1. Right. That's right. Why they got their punishment, and this was very tough. It was 8 years for 2 of them, and I think about 7 or 6 years for other 2 guys. I think. And you know what? It was so interesting that their lawyers. I was intern, and their lawyers did not even defend them. They were lawyers that were hired. They were not paid. They were paid by government. And they were not interested, in the result. And we have interesting game when you just put some numbers, and they were sitting and playing these numbers together. It was, for me, I was young. For me, it was just, it was so revealing, it was so unfair.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
I did not somehow, I just lost my faith in this system.
Right.
And I believe that I can do something, I don't want to be among these people. I want to do something bigger and something. This is how it happened. But I believe that our wounds bring us to psychotherapy. That's why I think it was just a very nice legend, a very nice excuse. There was bigger story behind that.
Right, right. I can see that. I can see all of it, and and now I'm understanding a little bit more too, and hearing how the evolution and the way that you're thinking in regards to it, because of the fact that, all right, you went for the law. It made sense. You wanted possibly the stability of having that education or whatever it may be.
Oh,
It might
I believed in justice.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
why I
yeah,
went.
and that makes a lot of sense. Sure, having a husband that had been murdered, of course you're going to want. I would think that you would not necessarily be looking for like justice, like okay, revenge, more like okay, the system. You have to look at the system in that situation, right? And so you can either pick it apart, say what's working or what's not working. And at the time when you decided to go for law, possibly you were saying, okay, I believe in the system. I want to be a part of it. And then you get into it and you're like, well, maybe I'm ready to move on from here.
It's not the ideal system. Yes.
Right, right, right. And but the thing that it's like we were talking about, I think before we went live, in that the fact that we are alive, and every year that we're alive longer, it brings that many more skills that we have, many more lessons learned, opportunity for more education and possibly different education, all of it. These years lived, if you're proactive, which obviously you are, if you're a proactive sort or soul, you go out there and you start to look, what is the next thing that's coming around the corner? Kind of like that painting scenario that you were talking about with the gold leaves and the V. Okay, you're putting it out there. Maybe the painter's not there to be receiving it, but it's somehow you're painting that world, your life. You're putting it out there where you want to be going next. And you right now, being a part of the top 25 next impactors, what do you, if you were to tell me the full experience in your way of thinking, because you come from so many different ways, so many different disciplines that are in one person, what nuggets have you experienced in being a part of this program, because you've been a part of it since its inception pretty much, right?
You mean
The next impactor, the
when
fact
when it started? It started in
when it
February.
yeah, it started at the beginning of the year, right, somewhere in the beginning of the year. And and when let's just say when you got involved, from the time you got involved to today, what have you seen? What kind of nuggets would you say that you can share with others that you can take forward from this experience?
Oh, Tamara, it was for me. So I still consider myself. I applied for my citizenship because I lived in Canada for 3 years. So probably very soon I will become a Canadian citizen. But I'm still, I'm still a newcomer. I'm still learning. I don't feel so confident, right? I'm very new here. And you know what, for me, biggest revelation, I would say, look, I'm in Canada, and Canada is, as I said, immigrant country. So people come, we have lots of Chinese, we have East Indians, we have, many people, come from East. And so, I have many cultures. But I would say that US is very different for me. And for me, you will be surprised maybe. It's very, I feel in USA like I feel in Russia. And I think, these two countries, they're so similar and people are so similar, but I never thought about that when I lived in Russia. It's like, because, all this media, they create this opposite atmosphere. And, I was not involved. I am not into politics, but, somehow, I thought that Americans are different. This was my, I would say, bigger picture. And, this next Impactor, because most of contestants are from US, right?
Yes, most of them
And,
are.
as if, I touched all of them, and, I explored that they have blood, that they have, emotions. It was, for me, it was big revelation, when you touch a person and you expect that they are plastic, because, but they're real. They have heartbeats. And for me, it was just, for me, it's such a great feeling to know that there are people, there are also people, it's because I even, I was not influenced, but, for me, it's like you open a new world for you. The world that, that never existed, because I had many chances to immigrate to US before. And, I was the person who always said never.
Really?
Never.
Never. Not
No.
even a consideration, just never. Okay,
Never.
so
Never.
the nugget that you're sharing is one that I would never have thought that I would hear. However, it makes absolute sense. So now that you've had this chance to get to know the heart and soul of many of the other next impactors, would you still say never?
Look, I cannot say never, because I'm already part of you, right? Part
Right,
of part of this world,
right.
No,
Yeah.
no. But for me, it was really, I never say never, but it was the case.
Wow. Well, I'm feeling very honored right now to and this, I don't know if everybody else is feeling the same thing that I am right now. However, this is a really great exercise to understand that many times we're never truly aware of how we may be representing something much bigger than ourselves. And in the fact that we, as the top 25 next impactors, they were the top 20 or the top 50, and then the top 25, we had opportunities to work together. And little would I have actually thought about the fact that, as being an impactor and working within our teams, that we could be doing something as big as representing um, even our own country, and I know that we did think that way because of the fact that it was brought up to the fact that we on Team Todd had two of the international, if you will, contestants when we were in the top 50. We had yourself, and then we had our Nigerian friend, and it was an interesting challenge. Everything from the time zones and the currency, because we talked about the currency issue with creating the nonprofit donations, and will people internationally be interested in contributing to a nonprofit that is in another country. And there were a lot of different variables that we looked at, but I would never have really thought about the fact that something as big as, you never would have considered the United States, and now you're a part of a team that had many people from the United States, and that's beautiful. That's
It,
absolutely
it,
gorgeous.
it is, and even so, that's why I think, what I'm always doing when I go to Russia, I will always speak about, because, I always try, people live there in illusions, and I'm trying to bring a bit of reality into the illusions. I'm saying, look, people there, there is life, there is love, there is, there is pain, and, and the same thing I'm trying to do here, saying that it's the same there. As if,
Right.
we look at the moon, so when we think about this is something like that. For me, it sounds childish, but it was just at my age.
No, it's not childish. And and thank you for sharing with us, because the fact that you are so international, the fact that you are so learned, and the fact that you have such I mean, you have both sides of the brain going on, if you will. You've got the analytical side, you've got the more, way, psychotherapy side, and the artistic, and you have so many different worlds going in play, and literally countries throughout the world in play. You are such a fascinating person to be talking to help us all see that we can help each other to heal, I believe, many of the wounds that are out there in our world. If we all just start understanding that the little things that we do can actually make a big difference in being fair, having integrity, sharing kindness, sharing concern, sharing, like, let's do it.
Mhm.
And how, and all of it. Because that is where, like when you said that we're not plastic. We are human. We have blood in us. We are, you know, like those from your home country and those from your current, to be second home country. And this this is an opportunity for all of us to be service heroes on a much bigger scale than maybe we've ever given thought to in the past, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think so. Thanks to that project, so we somehow were able, just to make our voices louder.
Right.
And I think it was a great opportunity because when one voice is very just quiet, it's not enough. But when there is a chorus,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds bigger, it sounds louder, and it's more beautiful.
Right.
Always. But I was, when you were talking, I was just thinking about humanity. It's so interesting. I think this is how we develop. This we create walls, and then we fight to destroy them, and then we
Yeah.
create walls, and then we fight to destroy them. As if I have many clients, it usually So one of our sessions, we did. We work on sense of life, meaningfulness of life.
So important.
And yes, and this is, I think maybe, these just ups and downs, building
Right.
and destroying walls is just the meaning, of our existence. Who knows?
I want to thank you for entering the next Impactor. I truly do, because the experience of having you as a teammate and having you now as a friend is something that I will forever treasure. And the fact that you were proactive enough to say, okay, I will go ahead and enter this contest, this challenge, this reality streaming media, whatever you thought it was in the very beginning, in the end, did it change?
Um, Look, I did not understand the question, Tamara. So it's
Okay, not a problem. Let me rephrase. Um, in the very beginning, what did you feel that the next Impactor was all about?
I think I was more egocentric at the beginning. I was more reflecting on my fears, because how Warren literally pushed me. And Warren, right? Warren
Yeah,
does not ask, he
no,
says.
right, right,
So it's not a question, it's just and it's not a recommendation, it's some kind of demand. No, I'm joking, right? So
right. Yeah, no, I know, right.
that's why and I would say it's his belief supported me, because I did not believe in myself, but he did.
Okay, how do you feel about yourself now? Now that you've been through this, has there been a change?
Oh, I feel confident. And my first video for Next Impactor, it was my first video at all, because public speaking, I was zero in public speaking. And my project, my academy that I'm doing, so everything what I do now involves public speaking. So I started in parallel developing this skill and Next Impactor. And I would say, it was a great school for me. Great experience. And look, I'm speaking for the camera. I'm not hiding. It's a big achievement.
And I know that you were involved in the film. I mean, because I even brought this up, and as we start to wrap this up, I wanted to really bring it up that if you are watching this and you have not seen many of the videos that we produced, our team, part of the challenges that we had before we went into the top 25, when we were the top 50, we had to have projects, and we each video that was produced had a theme, and we all worked together to make these videos come to pass. Because I mean, some of them were we're like, okay, we're down to the wire. We need this. We need that. Do you guys understand what we're doing? It was a matter of interpretation, and then how did you see it? What do you think we should do? And it gave us all an opportunity to be heard, to then go back out there and do what we needed to do, that we committed to for that project manager to deliver what it was that they needed, and then to rally behind them once those projects were loaded into the YouTube. To then, I mean, because our team, every day we voted for each other, we watched each other's videos, we were committed to
Look, Tamara,
work together.
You were a great leader.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, and that's why when you were writing Team Tamara, this is what really happened. You were leading because look, you created a plan. You were you somehow brought discipline into our team. And I liked what I learned from you, because I learned from each of our teammates.
Yes.
And
yes.
I learned from you, because you somehow, you made a plan for each of us. It was so easy because, I when I started my day, I did not think about what I should do about that, because you did everything so clear and so just, you prioritized everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for, it takes a team, and you can come up with plans, but if no one follows through on them, then it's just a plan, and it's not executed. We had a team that then executed, and I believe we became close because of it. And I am so excited that we are all coming together, and we will be there on Friday the 30th. And if you are interested in watching the results of the first Next Impactor and who will it be, you can do that by live streaming. They are going to be live streaming. It is completely 100% open to the public. For all you have to have is a Facebook account. You can watch the whole event on Facebook. Go to the Next Impactors page, like it, wink, wink, and then get some popcorn, call your friends, celebrate the stories, learn from the coaches, and be amazed as we will, as the very first Next Impactor is crowned for their year reign, and that they will be receiving a prize package that has been valued at over $500,000 to take their message, their mission, their impact to the world. Pretty exciting, right?
I wish, Tamara, I wish you to win.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. I thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being a part of Team Todd and supporting Team Tamara. And you know what? And I've said this to everybody, and I was going to go live and do it, but I will say it here, and that is, however this goes on Friday, of which I am when I'm done with this broadcast, I will be getting in my car and I will be going to on my journey to get to Chicago. A couple stops, but I will be leaving to go. And so this is my opportunity to say thank you to everyone that has supported Team Tamara. And I want you all to know that I already believe that we have won, however it happens, and that whoever does win the crown, I will 100% completely support, because I already know in my heart of hearts that we have at Chemo Buddies for Life, and those that support my team, Team Tamara, we have already had so many wins that I will be forever grateful for the growth that we have taken place, for the development of our platform and our mission, and we will not stop going forward until everyone that hears they have cancer knows that they do not have to be alone and they can be a part of the buddies community and have their own buddy. So we already, I feel as though we have already won. However, I thank you for your support, and I thank all of you for your support. So I will see you on Thursday evening.
Just in few days. Unfortunately, they did not create, this just I cannot touch you. I think, just next 10 years it will be possible, just, to hug through the screen.
Oh, yes. Well, you are getting a virtual hug right now, and I cannot wait to give you an actual physical one as soon as I see you.
Yes,
You're
and all,
just
all, all
absolutely.
contestants, it will be a
Oh, yeah.
great big hug. Can
It's
you
going to
imagine?
be a big group hug. 25 plus coaches and the founders, and it's going to be an amazing energy. And if anyone is close to the Chicagoland area, and if you have not considered being there, you don't want to miss this. And I do believe there are still some chairs available. Check it out. Go to the Next Impactor finale page. You can be there to root for your favorite The Next Impactor, your favorite impactor. Be there live. And if you can't be there live, you can be there Facebook Live. It is the second best completely. All right. Well, as we start to close, is there any last nugget you'd like to share with us all?
I'd like that, just, I'd like to wish all the success, all the happiness, and I'd like to wish everyone, just don't forget that you have voice. It's not so necessarily, just to wait for next impactor. Just, right now, you still have it,
Right.
and your voice is always with you.
Right. Beautiful. Well, as we close day number 310 of 365 days of awesome, celebrate success through service. Naira, I want to say that you are truly an inspirational woman to me and to many others. You have completely pulled yourself up from many experiences in your life, and you have such a way, such a generosity of spirit. You have such a way of looking at life that through your words and through your actions, you keep going. You keep going. And you keep going with the idea that you can find a better place, a better country, a better environment, a better system, a better world, and that we all have a voice, like you just shared, for us to use our voice to help make ourselves be heard within that beautiful world that we are all sharing, that we all do have flesh and blood and bones, and we are humans in different ways of thinking in different parts of the world. Yet, through this time that we've shared with you, Naira, you have helped us all to see that this world is truly a wonderful place and that we should always keep our very best foot forward because you never know who it is that you are going to be their service hero. You have been ours today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Tamara, to you and to your volunteers, to your team.
Thank you.
Because everything, just was done with your support and with their support. Who is not visible now, but I know that there are many people behind.
Oh, yes. There are many, 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 and many of them do not want to be seen. Some of them are very humble. However, many of them will be at some point in time. I want to be able to really, when they're ready, we're going to have a show that I'm going to highlight all the different people that have helped to create Team Tamara because I know that there's a lot of people that are very interested and there's a lot of love and support in regards to a lot of these people. They are truly some of the very best of the best of the best people I know. And I have been so honored and fortunate to have worked with them all. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. All right. See you soon.
Look, we are girls.
I know. See you soon. Bye bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tamara.
Bye bye.